Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Scary Stories thread. Share your frightening stories. I don't have scary stories, but I will share one from a friend I have. Be my friend. 8 or 9 years old. Him and his friend are playing in his grandparents' house. Grandpa is not home, and Grandma goes to a friend's house for dinner. There are 2 entries for the house. One of them is locked by Grandma, and the other one is always locked and never used 10 minutes pass. The unused door unlocks and opens. WTF.exe. He goes to the door. Nothing. He closes it, but doesn't have a key for it. It hasn't been opened in years. Both are freaked out and decide to go upstairs. After some time, the door opens again. He goes down and this time barricades it with whatever is near. Both are scared shitlessly. Now they are both in the room and hope they will survive this evening. The front door opens. They think that it's Grandma. Go downstairs. Nothing.pdf. Wait. It may be in the house.mp3. They run up to their parents' bedroom. They stay there for about 2 hours and decide to go to bed. Hear walking. He opens the door and yells. I don't remember what he says. Something starts coming. He hides in the room. It starts running up the stairs. Both are scared. They move the parents' bed and barricade the door. Something starts banging on the door. His friend is crying. The banging stops and some kind of old classical music starts. They just stare at the door for 3 hours straight. Grandma comes home. She finds where they are. The bed is too heavy to move. I guess they had some kind of adrenaline rush. When they told the grandma about it, she didn't believe it and told them that both doors are locked. He has another messed up story, but I don't remember it quite well. I will ask him tomorrow. Keep this thread up by then. Okay, I couldn't talk to him, but I kind of remember the story, so please just bear with me. Be him and a couple of friends. Late at night, they want to go get something to eat, somewhere near 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. Still too young to be going that late at night. Police are roaming the neighborhood. They head out. The place is pretty far away, so it's a long walk. They start hearing some weird noises, kind of like a generator, but a lot quieter. Their road goes through a graveyard. Kind of used to it, so they just go through it. That's when they notice the sound. You know how sometimes when the sound is quiet enough, you notice it a bit later. They don't really know where it's coming from. They begin to turn heads and try to find where it's coming from. Behind them. The hell.text. Never mind, let's just go. Nothing interesting happens. They walk a kilometer or 2. Noise is still the same. After a kilometer, it is still the same. It didn't get quieter. They finally reach the diner. In my country, we call them breakfast shops, and they serve a dish called banica. They head back home. The sound remains the same. But this time, behind them. They start to get freaked out by it. After some time, the police are heading down the road. Oh shit, hide.html. They split up and hide in the gardens behind some houses. He is hiding in a corner of a house, pitch black. The noise suddenly starts to get louder. He runs on the street. The police are gone and they all regroup. The sound gets really loud. It's right behind them. They all book it and never turn back. No one knows WTF happened, but damn.
Be 8 years old, mountains of Virginia, lower southwest. A particularly bad ice storm that winter. Power is out. No school. Alone in the den looking out the window at the woods across the street. Silence. Except for trees breaking under the weight of the ice and snow, no other sounds. See sudden movement near the top of the ridge. At first think that it's ice or snow falling from the trees, or even a tree falling and bouncing around. Movement way too erratic and fast to do that. Realize whatever it is has white fur. Realize it's a big animal of some kind. But it has multiple sets of legs like a centipede. and is slithering like a snake over the ridge. To this day, I have no idea what the hell I saw. I did not see a head or a tail, just what looked like a large furry white snake scuttling over the ridge. My adult brain tries to rationalize it as a pack of coyotes or something. But all white? It was as white as the snow. And I got a good look at it, probably 30 seconds at least.
Backstory. In high school, I had a friend named Joe whose parents had a farm a couple miles outside of town. They were gone a lot, so we used to hang out at the farm and play video games, work on old PCs we had gotten a hold of, and blast music all night, etc. One summer night, the plan was to see a movie at the mall, then take the bus to the edge of town and then walk the 2 miles or so to meet Joe at his place. Get off the bus at the edge of town, start walking down the road to Joe's house. Pitch black out, no moon. Super foggy for some reason. Walking further away from town and the houses stop. So do the streetlights. At this point, the road is full of bushes and heavily forested on the right side, and on the left tons of bushes, then a drop down to a creek, then heavy forest. Walking along, I realize how quiet and serene everything is. Suddenly, I hear a small rustle behind the bushes on the right. Figure it's mice or foxes or something. Keep hearing occasional small rustling noises on the right. Sounds like it's following along as I walk. The movie I saw was Signs, and say what you want about that movie, but there were a few scenes like when the aliens were in the cornfield that were genuinely frightening. Start to get spooked. Start walking faster. Suddenly hear a loud rustle in the bushes to the right. Stop walking. I am now freaking out. Standing in the middle of the road trying to peer into the forest to see if I can see what the hell is making this noise. Suddenly, I heard a very faint rustle from the bushes on the left and creek side of the road. The first thought that pops into my head is that scene in Jurassic Park, where they talk about a predator distracting you from the front while another comes at you. Large rustle from the left side. Immediately book it. Start running toward a rural school that I know is a few bends down the road. Rustling sounds like it's following me. Get to the school, run up to the door, and stand there facing the street. I figure there is a light and a security camera here, so if something comes out of the forest, at least people will know what happened to me. Fog seems worse now. Across the road, there is a large metal mailbox for the school on the opposite side. Next to it is a dirt road with a metal farm gate. Hear more rustling from the far side of the road near the mailbox. Suddenly, the metal gate starts to move, back and forth, very slowly. Cannot see it moving, but I can hear the metallic scraping noise. I think I see movement in the darkness behind the mailbox. Stand there peering as hard as I can into the darkness. Blam! Something has hit the mailbox. Have never felt more abject terror before or since that moment. Suddenly, rustling on my side of the street. Immediately start sprinting toward Joe's house. Don't stop. Don't look back. Just run. Get to his house. Ran so hard I was seeing black dots moving around in my vision. Pound on his door, he opens. Slam the door shut, lock it. Close all of the curtains on the bottom floor. Finally catch my breath and tell him what happened. He makes fun of me and calls me a coward for getting spooked by raccoons or something. Finally calming down, we started working on an old 486 one of us fished out of a dumpster, played some video games, and passed out early the next morning. The next morning I woke up, ate breakfast, and got ready to walk back into town to take the bus back home. Walking down the road, getting closer and closer to the old school. It's daytime, so I'm not afraid, but my heartbeat is still getting faster and faster the closer I get. Come around the last bend before the school, see the metal gate and the mailbox on the side of the road. There is something on top of the mailbox, small and red, like a human heart. Get closer and closer to it. All of a sudden I realized it was an apple, because the mailbox is sitting underneath an apple tree, and an apple fell and landed on top of it at the perfect moment to scare the ever-loving shit out of me. Laugh my ass off there in the street about how much of an idiot I was. Walk back to town, take the bus home, go about my day. Later that night, lying in bed, thinking about the previous night and sort of chuckling to myself. Standing there, peering through the fog, hearing the wind blow the gate open and shut, getting spooked because of some harmless forest creatures. Wait a minute. Fog. Wind. It wouldn't be possible for the wind to have been moving that gate because fog can only be on the ground if there is no air movement. If it wasn't the wind, what the hell was moving that gate back and forth? I can't sleep all night thinking about it.
Not really a frightening story, but I live in England, and there's this one kid who I've seen running around the area for the past 10 years. The kid always wears a cardigan and a grey fedora, and is usually in monochrome grey or black outfits. What's more, nothing will prevent him from going out and running, not even torrential rain or bitter cold. So normally, I would write it off as some spurg kid grappling with some sort of running OCD, but the strange thing is, I've watched as he's run over the past 10 years, and he hasn't aged a single day. I've tried calling after him, but he never seems to hear me. Oftentimes, I'll be with my dad and we'll see him, and we'll both just laugh at how bizarre the whole situation is. To be fair, I could just be scaring the shit out of an autistic guy by chasing him down the street and shouting after him. But I like to tell myself he's a spooky ghost boy, so I don't feel guilty.
This happened to me about 10 years ago. I'll never forget what happened. This has stuck with me since that day. 16 years old, chilling playing video games. Home alone, parents were on their vacation. Loved being home alone, could masturbate to my heart's content with legs open and no clothes, get hungry, get food. After eating, get bored of video games. Decide to get dressed and go to the woods near my house. The woods were huge. Nobody ever went in them. So many people got lost. Been out for about an hour, chilling on logs, listening to music with earphones in, feeling the warm wind. Don't recognize the time. Simply don't care because parents are away. Hell yeah, .jpg. All of a sudden, my earphones fall out of my ears. By fall, I mean it felt like somebody tugged the wire downwards. Look around, heart rate rising. What actually just happened? Text. Decide to put them back in, try to ignore what happened. Decided to think that it was me just moving my arm and knocking them out my ears. Lay down because of my skepticism. Keep body completely still. Eyes closed. Earphones tugged out my ears again. Look around. Suddenly dark. Only been outside for an hour. How's this possible? I went out around 1 p.m. Check the phone. It only says 2:15 p.m. Okay, what the hell is going on? Keep looking around. Nothing is happening. Contemplating existence from this point. I wonder whether or not I'm still in the same spot as earlier. Decide to start walking, see if I can find a spot I recognize. I came in these woods regularly. Hello? The hello just brushed past my right ear, as if someone was running past you saying it whilst it fades. The voice was cold. Keep walking, shaking like a schizo. My eyes adjust. I can see ahead, but only a few meters. Nothing major. Notice a tall, black, skinny figure standing about 10 to 15 meters in front of me. Its body is very slim, probably 7 feet tall. Fingers are abnormally long. Body freezes through paranoia. Its eyes were beveled, as if they were gouged out and skin healed over it, only it was pure jet black. Finally get a hold of myself. Start sprinting in the opposite direction. It starts screeching, pummeling my ears so much I had to hold them. Can barely see due to fear. Suddenly stop. Why have I stopped? Felt like someone or something pushed their hand on my chest and just held me there. Can't push, can't move, no matter how hard I try. Start to hear footsteps behind me, leaves cracking, twigs snapping. Heavy footsteps too, like nothing you've ever heard. I could feel this thing's footsteps. All of a sudden I drop to the floor and black out. Wake up in the morning or whatever time, felt like the morning. On the floor, no leaves around me, a perfect circle, just soil. Start panicking again. Find my way home after running for ages. The computer is left on from when I was last on it. Check the time. My phone is all of a sudden like 7 hours behind. I know it wasn't before I left. I decided to take a shower, clear my head a little and try to shake this bull off. Get out, look in the mirror, thick scratches horizontal across my back. Start feeling terrible and lightheaded. The bathroom door sounds like it's getting kicked down by SWAT. Let me in, let me in, let me in. Voice sounds like the stereotypical demonic. Can't react because of me being lightheaded. Sit down in the empty bath. Pass out again, wake up, feels like I was asleep for a few hours. Check my back, scratch is gone.
Be 15 or 16 years old. A friend just moved into this new neighborhood, like an hour from my house. There is a nearby lake where the Hicks go to fish. We go for a walk before it gets dark, talking about the Hicks and just shooting the shit. Get to the lake and watch them fish for a few minutes. It's getting dark, we need to head back. It's dark out as soon as we get past the lake. His mom is a pushover, so not worried. We start climbing this hill and we swear we see a silhouette poking out from behind a small bush up the path. We get to it and no one is there. Shrug it off and get back to his home, talking about buying a Ouija board for the hell of it. Around 1 or 2 a.m., shooting the shit still, thinking of what vidya we want to play. I hear a female voice whisper friend's name. It came from the other side of the closed door. It's a whisper, but a loud whisper. I've experienced other spoopy things like this, but he hasn't. Trying to wrap my brain around it. I think your mom wants you. Anon, that wasn't my mom, plus she's asleep. I know I'm just spooked. We didn't hear anything else after that.
Backstory. This happened this summer to me and my girlfriend. I live with my parents and they were going away for a vacation for a week, so me and my girlfriend chilled at my place for 1 week. Be me, 20 years old, parents on vacation, just me and my girlfriend chilling. The week starts slow and good, nothing bad really happens. Last day before my parents arrive, we decide to go to bed late, 2 or maybe 3 a.m. Dog sleeps on the floor while me and my girlfriend sleeps in my bed. Dog starts barking and growling for no reason, telling him to quiet down. After I've told him to hush, I try to sleep. Hear a loud bang from another room in my house. Too scared to check it out. Decide to chill in bed and see if I hear something else. Start to hear footsteps in the hallway, sounds like someone is walking with heavy boots. Those you use out in the woods kind of boots. Can see how the dog reacts, lifts his head just looking at the door to the hallway. I decided to check it out. I picked a small rock we have as a decoration to use as a weapon. Sweep the entire house, nothing. Fall asleep. Wake up at 10 a.m. The door to the hallway closed entirely. The door was opened halfway. There were no windows that could make a wind sweep strong enough to close the door. My dog is also way too small to be able to close the door by himself. The door just closed itself. I'm not sure what the hell happened.
Be me. Be 18. And fresh-faced kid. Had a few minor paranormal things happen. Not very superstitious. Joined the Navy. In boot camp. I have watch one night from 0200 to 0400. Shooting the shit with the guy who just got off watch. Says he can't sleep and will talk with me for the rest of my shift. Bros 4. Life around 2:55. We heard a bash from the room next to ours, and me and him were like, oh shit. I had a fake pistol, but I was gripping it like it shot holy water and silver bullets. Nothing for 5 minutes. Still sweating, like a fat virgin on a first date. We both hear sobs from the room next to ours. Sweating woman's voice moaning, help me, from next door. All male barracks. I haven't seen a woman in over a month. Bro is also hearing this. It's also the witching hour. I think to myself, I ain't investigating shit. Woman's voice moans, you did this to me, Anon. No one knows my first name because military. Sweating intensifies. Next couple nights, both me and him hear her again saying nearly the same thing. Did not want.
During the winter of 1998 or 1999, I was driving out of Lake Geneva, Wisconsin on Highway 50. If I recall, that is the name of the main road out of town towards Kenosha. When I noticed a saucer-shaped craft with bright lights underneath. I didn't think much of it at first, although I did continue looking at it because it didn't resemble a plane in shape, and the lights looked different. I began to really pay attention when I turned off Highway 50 onto the side road that led to my subdivision. I can't recall the county road, but it leads to the Tuscany-like subdivision I was living in at the time. The craft was originally headed parallel to the highway, traveling in the direction towards Kenosha and away from Lake Geneva as I was. But when I turned 90 degrees onto the side road, the craft changed direction 90 degrees as well. I took note because aircraft don't turn 90 degrees like that. The aircraft seemed to follow me, changing in direction, and to be descending to lower altitudes and getting closer. I remember slowing down to basically a crawl in my vehicle to watch the craft. As crazy as this may sound, the next thing I remember is coming to stand outside my car, behind the rear bumper. The driver's side door was open, and no recollection of getting out of the car. The larger craft I had seen before is gone, and there is a much smaller saucer-shaped craft hovering maybe 20 feet at most over the road, and maybe 20 feet away horizontally. It was completely silent, with white and yellowish lights. I freaked out, jumped in my car, and took off as fast as I could. Looking back in my rear and side view mirrors, the smaller craft was gone, but the larger saucer-shaped craft I had previously viewed was back up in the sky and was again traveling parallel to my car. I made another 90 turn into my subdivision on the side road, and the craft did so as well. I made another 90-degree turn off the first road in my subdivision onto the second one, the one on which I lived, Sienna Circle, and again the craft changed direction with me. I ran inside as fast as I could. Upon entering the house, I looked out every window I could in each direction and saw neither craft. I proceeded to write down the entire event and eventually fell asleep. The next morning, my girlfriend stopped by before school, as she typically did, and as soon as I woke up, I excitedly started to tell her of the previous night's event. She told me to calm down and that I had been dreaming, reminding me I had just woken up. I told her I wasn't dreaming, to look on my dresser where I had written it all down. That was until maybe 6 months later I was in Kenosha at a friend's house. He was late returning, and I began to worry about him, and was looking out his back door towards the main road, anxiously awaiting his return. That is when I noticed a smaller saucer-shaped craft, exactly like the one I saw before, hovering maybe 20 feet off the ground, not making a sound, and slowly flying towards the house. It flew across the backyard straight towards me. I called the other woman who was there to come look, and she too saw it in amazement. We watched it for a few minutes as it slowly approached the house, flew barely over the rooftop, and proceeded across the street. When it was above the house across the street, it changed direction 90 degrees and slowly hovered over all the houses on the opposite side of the street until it was out of sight. I kept this mostly to myself for all these years because A, I have no proof, and B, most people don't believe me or don't care. After seeing report after report and pic after pic of similar craft, I figured I'd go ahead and tell mine too for whatever it's worth.
Be me, 6 years old, visiting my grandmother in the Dominican Republic. Have a super nice old couple living next door. Grandma takes me with her next door frequently. The old guy was a really cool person. Later in the week, a man takes his own life. I didn't know. I asked her when we were going to go back to visit them. She says that he's been away on a trip, but I've been seeing him for the past few days out my window. He always waves at me. Grandmother doesn't say anything. Spending the night in my grandma's room on the second floor, look out the window. I see the man. We wave at each other. She asks what I'm doing. I tell her the man is back. She doesn't see him. He waves. She doesn't wave back. She continues to watch TV. The man stares at her angry. She gets a weird feeling and closes the curtains. All the power in the house goes off. Grandma freaks out and we leave the house in a hurry. We drove to her sister's house. When we get there, she is scared, but we all go to bed, sleeping. I wake up in the middle of the night. I go take a piss. On my way back to the room, I peek out a window. I see the man standing on the sidewalk. We wave at each other. He smiles.
Anyway, I leave my apartment and go rush downstairs to open the street door so he can come in without using the entry phone. I wait for him for 20 minutes, checking YouTube in the meantime, when I get a notification from the chat telling me he's here. I rush as quietly as possible to my door, and there he is. I try to discern him in the darkness, and he looks like a 20-something-year-old guy. Thin, medium height. I can't really make him out. I can only see his back, so that doesn't help. I'm kind of chuckling when I notice something. He is holding a knife behind his back. An actual kitchen knife. It's huge, as long as his forearm. My blood goes cool for a second. I'm wondering what the hell is going on for about a second when it hits me. I stand there, quiet like a mouse, just stuck to the peephole. He takes out his cell phone and texts something. I hear from my bedroom the ring the chat uses to notify you when someone sends you a private message. He's probably urging me to open the door. At this point, I'm kind of frozen. He then turns around and I want to kick myself in the balls. Did he hear the computer, I wonder? He comes closer and closer and tries to look through the peephole. I duck, almost dropping to the floor. I crawl towards my door as quietly as possible, hoping he doesn't send another message. I finally reach my computer and pull the cable, cutting its power and shutting it off. I stand there in the darkness of my room for a while, trying to distinguish any sounds in the silence. After a few minutes, I gathered the courage to get back to the peephole. I walk there as stealthily as possible. I take a look, fully expecting to see his goddamn eye staring back at me. There's nothing but the empty hallway. I decide to go back to bed, not without keeping a kitchen knife by my side. He still hasn't returned, and I hope he never does. I keep wondering about his friend. I never saw anyone else in that hallway. Where the hell was he? He might have made him up. Maybe he just kept him downstairs, or maybe he was blocking the stairs or something. I have no idea. I keep watching over my shoulder when I walk around my neighborhood.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.
Remember to check the Odyssey and Rumble pages for separate archives of previous broadcasts.